Tamar is a senior lecturer in our department teaching modules on language acquisition and usage-based views of language. And I think it looks like you're now ready to present, Tamar, on infant-directed speech.
Hello. ברוכים הבאים להרצאה השלישית בוורקשופ בנושא דליית מילים מדיבור שוטף בקרב תינוקות השומעים אנגלית בריטית. I've just spoken to you in fluent Hebrew, and presumably some of you identified the word workshop in what I was saying, and that shows that you achieved what we call segmentation, which means that you recognized a word in running speech, you recognized where it started and where it ended, and you managed to sort of extract it from the speech, even though there were not pauses either before it or after it. And I'm assuming that you could do that to the English word workshop, but you couldn't do it to the Hebrew words in my speech unless you're a speaker of Hebrew. So when you listen to speech, you're not familiar with what you hear as a mush rather than a sequence of independent words. So I think you will agree with me that segmenting speech is a difficult task. Now, interestingly, this task has been claimed, and that's based on published research. It's been claimed that it's easy for babies to do, or for infants. And when I say infants, I mean babies who are not speaking yet, so under the age of 1.5 years. And here is a quote from a textbook on language acquisition by Eve Clark, who is a very respected scholar. I don't have any problem with what she's saying, but this is how she portrays the research on segmentation. So she says, in fact, by 7.5 months, infants listen longer to previously familiarized words when these are later presented inside longer sentences than to sentences containing unfamiliar controlled sequences. Now notice that she is presenting segmentation as something that 7.5-month-old infants can do without qualifying this claim by saying they can do so if they are raised in a certain language or in a certain dialect, or using certain types of words or using certain test conditions. She just assumes that this is a general fact true for most typical babies. And that's the way most of my field treats segmentation. So me and a bunch of my colleagues, we designed a study where we first of all wanted to see whether British babies are a little bit delayed in when they reach segmentation than American babies. Both groups of babies are learning English, but they're learning different dialects of English. So we wanted to see if there was a delay, and we wanted to see if there is a delay, by how much, how many months of delay there are. And also, we wanted to see if we do find such a delay, whether we can explain it by the type of speech style that the babies are hearing in the two societies, because we knew based on previous research that the American parents tend to use more exaggerated infant-directed speech, or IDS, than British parents. So we and colleagues from Plymouth ran 14 different experiments with 14 different groups of babies, trying to get the babies to segment at some point with different, we'd made some different methodological changes between one experiment and the next, and discovered that 13 out of the 14 groups could not segment no matter what. There was a single group, the group that shows here is group number 4 in bold. They are the only group that managed to segment the stimuli. And I'll now let you listen to the stimuli that most, so this is the stimuli we used, which by stimuli I mean the speech that the babies heard in the lab. So this is a the typical infant-directed speech that most babies in the Plymouth lab heard in their experiments.
He gave her a carriage clock for Christmas. The carriage was pulled by 2 big white horses. The gentle footman looked after the carriage well.
And when they despaired of getting the babies to segment, they asked their speaker to record one last time, but in very, very exaggerated infant-directed speech style. And this is the stimuli that she then recorded, and which one group of infants, the only group that heard it, managed to segment.
He gave her a carriage clock for Christmas. The carriage was pulled by 2 big white horses. The gentle footman looked after the carriage well.
You can notice that this speech style, first of all, I think it sounds forced, it sounds artificial. Secondly, you can hear that the pitch is very, very high, and it's also slower. And that was the only type of stimuli and the only group that managed to do this, any segmentation out of all these 14 groups. And this group was older than, I mean, it was at the older range. They were 10.5 months old. So what do these experiments show us? First of all, we found that British infants do not segment under most conditions. Secondly, neither did the American babies. So we tested one group of American babies at 8 months, which is the age at which American babies are supposed to be able to segment, but they didn't segment either. When we gave the babies one-syllable words, which are also supposed to be easier to segment than two-syllable words, those weren't segmented either. So the question is, are British babies seriously delayed in segmentation? But the answer, I think, is probably not. And what we've learned here is not something interesting about British babies versus American babies, but we've learned something about the segmentation task. And that is that this task is probably more fragile than is usually assumed. When I say that it is fragile, what I mean by that is that you need a very sort of magical, happy combination for it to work, meaning for the babies to be able to perform it successfully. So they need to be old enough, you need to have let them listen to the speech for long enough, and you need the speech to be recorded in a particular speech style. And if you don't, if even one of these things is missing, you won't see segmentation happening. And that shows us something quite important, that skills and knowledge aren't all or none necessarily, but they can be quite elusive, and sometimes they can show themselves to be existent under some conditions or in some contexts, but seem not to exist in other conditions or in other contexts. And I also want to point out that the successful group here heard a kind of speech style in the lab that they will probably never hear outside of the lab. So the fact that they succeeded probably doesn't depend on this group being more advanced in any way. So it doesn't really tell us anything about important differences between infants. What it tells us is something about testing conditions or methods used by labs. Now, because the only group that succeeded in segmentation was the group that received very exaggerated speech stimuli, the question is, should British adults begin to talk to infants differently in a more exaggerated speech style? And my answer is definitely not. The successful group of infants probably heard at home the same style or styles of speech that every other group heard. So there's no evidence to make us think that this group came from a different kind of background speech style to the other groups. And what we did by using the exaggerated infant-directed speech in the lab is to make the task in the lab task, easier, because we gave them speech that was so pronounced and so slow. But it hasn't changed what segmentation would feel like for them when they are outside of the lab in the real world, in real conditions. And there, speech is probably less extreme. There are fewer repetitions. There is background noise. So segmentation is actually much, much more difficult. And what we have done by manipulating the speech style in the lab is to end up creating a test that tests a skill that doesn't reflect what infants encounter in real life anymore. It doesn't, it's very detached from the things we actually want to research when we research babies, which is what happens to them in their real life rather than when they come to the lab. So finally, if there are differences between the speech styles that parents use in the UK and the US, are they important for language development? So I just want to remind you that the reason we wanted to look at the differences in speech style to babies was that we thought we needed to explain a difference in segmentation achievement between British and American babies. But it doesn't look anymore like we have any evidence to believe that there is a difference in segmentation abilities between the babies growing up in these two societies. So I don't think we need to explain there is no difference to explain by looking at the speech style differences. Now, even if there are speech style differences, and there might very well be because the literature says there are such, we don't know that they make any difference for infant learning, really. And what we did find when we conducted this study, and those of you who've looked at the extension task would have noticed it, is that speech styles to infants differ actually very much within dialects and within speakers, not only between dialects. So I think that's a really interesting point, and probably the important questions for future studies are, first of all, to use naturalistic speech rather than this artificial speech, and then within the range of styles in naturalistic speech, to see whether infants respond to these styles differently, and do they learn more from one type of speech style than from the other. Thank you very much.
I've got a question for Tamar. How do researchers know that pre-verbal babies have managed to segment? What's the evidence, and how do you know a baby has recognized a word?
So in these types of studies, or in order to know what babies can recognize, what we do is we play things we expect them to recognize and things that we don't. So something that they have heard before that should be familiar to them, and something that they haven't heard before. We play them several times from different directions, sometimes from the left, sometimes from the right, and we measure how long they listen to each thing that we play for them. And when they stop being interested in something, they look away from the source of sound. So they are looking towards the source of sound, and we measure how long they look. And we either find that they look more towards the thing that is known to them because they are engaged in it and interested in it, or sometimes we find that they're more interested in things that they don't know. So they show what is called a novelty preference, and they look or listen more to the things that are new to them. But as long as there is a difference between the two, we know that we conclude that they have recognized the word. And if enough of them do it, then we are pretty confident that the whole group as a group can recognize the words.